Okay, so we're gonna get our full-blown acceleration here. Woo! Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be going over the all-new Mazda 3 hatchback with the turbocharged powertrain. This is the ultimate hot hatch, or luxury hot hatch, I should say. But anyways, before we get into the video, a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Mazda here in Utah for giving me some time with this Mazda 3 Turbo. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And by the way, this one is available for sale, and if for some reason you want the sedan turbo, they have one of those as well. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So under the hood, we have a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 23 around town and then 31 on the highway, with power outputs being 227 horsepower and then 310 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we go to the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, notice how it's just flat there in the center, and then you have sharp lines on either side. Popping down below, we've got these cool daytime running lights there around the headlights, and then look at the dark trim around the lights. That looks amazing. Notice the grille all blacked out, but you've got the Mazda logo there in the center. And then you guys can see here at the bottom how the trim is also darker. And putting it all together in red, this car just has like a sinister appearance. I love it. Coming around the side here, our tire and wheel setup is 215, 45, 18 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see with the wheels all blacked out, which goes with the overall theme of this particular car. Pretty cool cut there with the fender. And then you guys can see with the mirror all blacked out, but then you've got some chrome trim around the windows, which is kind of interesting. And then notice the ground effect right there, also blacked out. And then here is our full side profile of the Mazda 3 hatchback, which looks really interesting. It definitely has like a rounded appearance there on the back end. A lot of hatchbacks nowadays are kind of more boxy. So here's our key fob for the Mazda 3 Turbo. You guys can see Mazda logo there on the front. And then on the side, we've got our unlock function and our lock function. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then actually pop into the hatch, the popper is like under the Mazda logo, which is pretty cool. We have a cargo cover built in from the factory, and this is why you get the hatchback. You have quite a bit more storage space vertically compared to the sedan, and you guys can see all the floor mats and everything, and the covering here for the back that comes with it. That's pretty cool. Now you can actually lock it from the rear, and they give you this handle to throw the hatch right back down. Really cool looking taillights here in the rear, and then you guys can see all of the badges on the back as well. And then down below, pretty aggressive looking exhaust tips. And putting it all together, I'd have to say that it's a really good looking car, especially in this red, and you know, with some of the black accenting like that spoiler on the back there, it looks good. Now taking a look at the door panel here in the rear, I really like this like brown stitching that they have, but just look at the trim and the fit and finish here. This is definitely a grade above what you normally see in hatchbacks. And then look at these seats here in the back. Definitely has more of a luxury car appearance more than anything else. Now legroom here in the back is actually pretty decent, and other than that, there's no storage pocket here, but there's one on the other side. And then headroom back here is solid. And would you look at that, we have, if I can pull it out, a cup holder armrest. Taking a look at the front door panel, look at the trim just like the back, just really fantastic fit and finish and appearance. We've got our window controls here with our mirror adjustments, speaker for the Bose sound system, and then blind spot monitoring in the mirror. Front seat just as nice as the rear. Look at all the bolstering, and then again you've got that contrasted stitching, which is really cool. And then power adjustments on the side. That is for the safety tech to turn some of the systems off, your stability control, and then your memory seat function is built in there as well. So taking a look at the steering wheel, we've got really nice leather trim all around, and then you guys can see the darker stitching there in the center. This does come with adaptive cruise control. You've got your volume and phone controls there on the other side. And then we got our good old-fashioned turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and I forgot to mention paddle shifters here on the back of the steering wheel too. So we've got Mazda's signature gauge cluster here, which I just think looks nice because it's simplistic with the design, and you can still see different bits of info there with that center screen. And so I think they've done a good job with functionality and design. And then of course we have our drive modes, which sport mode and not sport mode. Now in reverse, we do have a backup camera here with trajectory lines, and resolution's pretty solid. Now, as for the infotainment system itself, it's not a touchscreen, it's all controlled via a dial, which I know some people might not like, but it's actually really easy to use, and once you get used to it, frankly, it's like second nature. We got a heads-up display right there, as you can see, and then look at like the padding here on the dash, and then also down below as well, and you can see more of that contrasted stitching. So we do have dual zone climate controls here in the Mazda 3, and we've got heated seats and heated steering wheel, which I'm going to turn that on because it's kind of chilly today. I really like this metallic trim that goes across the bottom portion of the dash. Again, just makes it look a lot more premium. Got some storage space right here with some cup holder action, and then here's our shifter for that 6-speed automatic with the drive mode select right next to it. And then this is the control for the infotainment system, and your volume control right next to it, parking brake, your auto hold as well. And then look at the center console with the nice padding there on top. And storage space is great. It's got some USBs and everything. I like how it slides. That is pretty neat. And look at the handle for the glove box. That's very nice. And it's a pretty normal glove box. And then up top, we got a sunglass holder. And then we do have a sunroof as well. And then just a darker colored headliner. So here's a window sticker for this Mazda 3 Turbo hatchback. First off, you guys can see the base MSRP here, $32,450. There's not a whole lot in terms of options that you can add to it, but total MSRP is $34,475, which makes this look like a bargain when you compare it to other hot hatches, like, you know, for example, the new Golf R, the new Honda Civic Type R, even the GR Corolla starts at a much more expensive price point than this. But with that being said, let's see how it drives. Now let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility of the hood, and hopefully you can now see the heads-up display. Both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then throw us to the rear. And let's set off. Oh, setting off here in the Mazda 3. And you guys can see they've got quite a few CX-5s now. So it's cool to see the production's finally ramped up. So there's availability with that. And some CX-50s too. That's cool. But anyways, with this car, first off, seat comfort's really good. Again, this is more like I would consider an entry-level luxury car rather than an economy car. Whereas, you know, something like the Corolla, for example, I would consider that more on the economy car side of things, just because I like the finish and all of the controls in here, and then also just with the overall driving experience. Sound insulation is really good with this car. Super smooth with ride quality. Again, it just doesn't have all of the normal economy car drawbacks that you'd expect. But again, it still is priced like very, very well. I recently reviewed a front wheel drive, mind you, Corolla hatchback, and that was like $30-something thousand. And so this, just for a little bit more, for way more power, because that obviously isn't turbocharged. It wasn't the GR, right? It was just a regular Corolla. And that has a CVT on top of that. Like, it's crazy the value that Mazda proposes with this hatchback. But, you know, okay, are you gonna use your, okay, there we go. I'm like, are you gonna use your turn signal or not, lady? But anyways, just get into it a little bit here. Yeah, I love this powertrain. Obviously, Mazda uses this in a bunch of different vehicles, and it's just super torquey. So we're gonna pop it into the sport mode. And this 6-speed automatic transmission is actually really good with keeping it in the power band. So we're gonna get our full-blown acceleration here. Woo! So you notice that it's short shifting pretty hard, and that's just what this powertrain does in automatic mode, because this engine's all about torque, right? It's got over 300 pound-feet of torque, and so the power that you're going to want to, you know, get a feel for, right, is going to be, you know, under that, like, I think it shifts at like under 5,000 RPMs. And again, it's when you have an engine that's all about torque, it makes sense, and it feels really good, frankly. And popping it in the manual mode, like, look at this. The shifts aren't like, you know, insanely quick, but, you know, they're smooth and they're quick enough overall. Yeah, this is so smooth though. That's the thing, is the comfort that this provides. Again, especially compared to something like a Corolla or even the Civic. The new Civic drives, you know, a lot better than it did in the past, but I'd still have to say that this overall feels a little bit more high-end, and it's a little bit more comfortable than the Civic. So summing things up, this is a pretty underrated car, I'd have to say. I feel like it's not talked about enough. And, you know, everyone's always like raving about hot hatches, and, you know, nobody really talks about Mazda anymore. And it's like, this is a hot hatch. Yes, it does not come with a manual. And, you know, I do agree that Mazda should put a manual in this. I mean, look at the torque, it's crazy. I do agree, Mazda should definitely put a manual in this. But with that being said, the automatic's good enough. However, if they put a manual in this, just take the manual transmission from the Miata. I'm sure it could handle the power. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure it could. This thing would just, I mean, it would sell like crazy. I mean, think about that. Manual transmission, $34,000. With the power this has, the interior this has, I mean, game over. Like, that would send Honda, Toyota, everyone back to the drawing board. But still, check one of these out, especially if you're on the hope list, is what I'll call it, for like a GR Corolla or Honda Civic Type R. Because, like, I mean, even though I mentioned the MSRPs of those cars are higher than this, you also have to take into account market adjustment. Those go for like $10,000+ over MSRP, whereas you can definitely get a much better deal on one of these. Anyways, that's all. That's gonna set things up with our video on this Mazda 3 Turbo with the hatchback body style. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Mazda for giving me some time with this car. Check out the inventory in the description down below. I'll see you.